Hey YouTube, Zane here. I'm going to apologize in advance because this is going to be a video for my final project for one of my classes. So I have to read from a script that I've previously written, so I won't be staring into your souls as usual. So there's a few ways I could lay this out, but I'm not going to think so hard about it. I'll be giving the same information either way. I'm going to talk about when I first started to feel that something was off about my gender. When I first started to feel that my image displayed to the world didn't rightfully reflect the image that I saw within myself. So it's not exactly a how I knew I was trans story, but more of a story about how I didn't feel right or felt that something was off. I kind of always wanted to stray away from that sort of video because it's a different experience for everybody, and watching those kinds of videos made me feel that I wasn't trans enough, and I don't want anyone else to feel that way. So this is just what I felt, and just because you don't feel this way doesn't mean you're not trans enough. And even if you do feel this way, it doesn't necessarily make you trans, so don't freak out. Now that we got that out of the way, let's begin. It was around the middle of last semester when I started to feel not myself in terms of my looks. I distinctly remember going to the bathroom with my friend during our break from philosophy class, because she wanted me to go with her because that's what girls do. So we were talking to each other while she was in the stall and I was in front of the mirror. I remember looking into the mirror as I was talking and thinking, that's not right. That voice is coming from there? And from there, the feeling remained the same. Every time I looked in some sort of reflection, it didn't match. I remember walking towards the windows at the end of the hallways in my residence hall when wearing more masculine clothing and liking what I saw, until I got closer and my feminine aspects poured through. It was a very disappointing feeling, but I didn't really think anything of it. Going back a little to when I was a kid, my brother and I would always play pretend, in which we would pretend to be characters from movies, shows, and video games, and I would always be a boy. Always. And even as a child, I would struggle to find female role models to look up to, but all of the female role models I did find were masculine in some way. I like the wrestlers Chyna and Lita. Chyna was, for those of you who don't know, a very masculine woman who would actually wrestle men, and Lita was a skater punk type woman who would wear tight shirts with baggy pants. I also liked Tifa Lockhart from Final Fantasy VII, who is also somewhat masculine. She has a boxer's fighting stance and a kick-butt attitude. The final female role model I tried was Maximum Ride from James Patterson's series, and you guessed it, she is also masculine, and, as an added bonus, does not like anything the least bit feminine. Don't get me wrong, liking these characters does not make a girl a boy. It just makes her very independent, which is great. But you could see what I was trying to do as a child. I knew something was off about me, even if I didn't know. So I tried to give myself female role models to look up to make myself feel better about being female, because I didn't like being female, even if I didn't know the extent of my hatred of it at the time. During the point of my childhood, when my family would allow me to wear whatever I wanted, I looked like a little boy. I would wear male clothing. I just liked it better. I was drawn to it. Apparently when I was younger, around 4 years old, people would call me a cute little boy, and my father would correct them, but my response to him would be, "No, Dad, I want to be a boy." Because of this, my father kind of blames himself for not dressing me up more, but that would have had the same effect if his mother would have surrounded him with boys all the time in hopes that he would turn gay. So, no effect at all. I find it hard to believe that I knew what I know now about myself at that age. I kind of think at that age, I just thought being a boy meant that I could play sports and wear comfortable clothing. But who knows what I was thinking then. Maybe if I was exposed to the notion of transgender, I would have been able to put the pieces together, but we will have no way of knowing now. But my father's thought process leaked into my own before we even discussed the matter. Last semester and the one before, I tried to dress more feminine. This attempt at being feminine wasn't the first. Starting in 7th grade, I changed my wardrobe from baggy shorts and shirts to tight jeans and uncomfortable tight shirts to try to fit the role society gave me. But my feminine clothing felt like costumes, and how I acted just felt like that, acting. I felt like I was masquerading around, and I did not feel the least bit comfortable, physically and mentally. And I felt like I was second guessing everything I did. Last semester is when I really felt this faking who I was, though. It just didn't feel right, and even my girlfriend says that that attire didn't suit me and agrees that what I wear now better suits who I am, and that's because I'm not a woman. I'm a man. So my confidence really pours through because I feel like I'm not hiding anymore, even though I kind of am, but that's another story. There are also a few other points that I can't really elaborate on because it just is what it is. I used to write song lyrics, and something that I just put the pieces together as I was singing in the shower a few days ago is that as I would write lyrics, in my head would be a male voice singing them. And by the time I got to singing them out loud, I was disappointed because it wasn't as I had envisioned it in my head, because I obviously have a female singing voice. I can and do sing as a male now, it's just something I had to feel comfortable with. But I was blessed with a voice which pitch can be manipulated. I used to also make my voice really high-pitched when speaking to someone, and it would just bother me that I felt like I had to do that just because I was a woman. And I would always look back on it and think how stupid it was to do that right after I did it. Nowadays I feel so much more comfortable with my voice and just speaking normally without thinking someone's going to judge me. Also, whenever I had to act in a very feminine way outside of my feminine comfort zone, which wasn't all that big to begin with, like dancing sexily or anything along those lines, I would have to picture myself as a gay man to do it. I'm pretty sure most women would just picture themselves as a different woman, as my girlfriend did, and not as a gay man. And finally, I just have very masculine traits, which, yes, some women have, but mine go beyond butch lesbian masculinity. In this, I am not saying that I am more masculine than a butch, or stud, or what have you. Heck, many butch studs are more masculine than men. I'm just saying that my masculinity is as a man's would be, and not a butch or stud. It's just different. I'm just a guy. Since my class is essentially a queer culture class, we read the homoerotica novel by Patricia Nell Warner entitled The Frontrunner. The book had a lot of, let's just say, homosexual love. And by homosexual love, I mean male-male sex. Very detailed male-male sex. And if you know anything about someone who reads a lot, you know that we can picture what the author is painting with their words on a dime. Additionally, if you know anything about female-to-male transgender people, you know that we are, for the most part, extremely dysphoric about our not-so-male bodies. And if you know anything about male-male sex, you know that it involves a lot of male parts, which means the book described these male parts, such as their build, their muscles, their veins, facial hair in general, and of course their actual male parts. Combine all of these, and you get one dysphoric trans man trying to resist the urge to take a knife and cut off certain parts of his body. If you add a mirror, you might as well add a tombstone, because that's the topper on the grave. Yeah, not fun. Here's an excerpt from one of my reader responses that I handed in about this book to my professor. The thing that bothers me the most about these scenes is that I identify as a male without having a male body, and I long for the body the author alludes to. It's quite depressing to have to picture and read about a body that I so desperately desire, and in such great detail. It sets me that I am not that, nor can be for perhaps a while. Reading this just forces me to picture myself as I wish to be, but then I pass by the mirror and see that it was all my imagination, a fantasy I've conjured up for myself to allow my sanity to subsist. It's quite discouraging and adds to my dysphoria. Rather than rant to you about my gender dysphoria, every time I had a dysphoric moment, I filmed myself so that you can actually experience it with me. If a picture is worth 1,000 words, then a video must be worth 1,000,000. Binding laying down sucks. Hurts my ribs.
It's kind of depressing because I look at myself in the mirror and I'm a woman. I just want my face to look mannish, to be more square, facial hair.
Okay, so out of all these shirts right here that you see, this is the only one that looks good on my body. This week apparently is Daughter's Week, and that would be fine, except I am transgendered, so I'm like not a daughter, but a son. I was changing, like I was getting out of my binder and stuff. I partially caught a glimpse of my shadow, and I saw my curves in my hips. And this to my face. Ugh. Can't go in here. Gotta go in here.
I love peeing with my penis.
It's like empty space here, because I didn't like that at all. I'm trans. Talk to me about being trans.
My penis.
I'm not a 12-year-old boy. I'm a 20-year-old female-bodied person. I don't want these female parts to be here anymore. Like, I want them to go away. After some time, he broke down and cried in my arms about 3 times. My driver's license picture, and it's very disappointing to say the least. Just look like a woman. Wore my pants down to my butt cheek. I'm gonna get my first appointment with my therapist on like May 7th. That's super duper exciting. I never thought I would have bottom dysphoria. I didn't think lack of a penis would upset me.
Being FTM is uncomfortable. It's burning hot outside. I have to wear binders.
I just want to be able to love myself again. Being trans just sucks. Man, I want to look like that. I want how I feel to be projected to the world. So, it's just gonna have to wait.
Got my penis in the mail.
I already went through a state of depression of trying to dress myself up, and that didn't work either, where I tried to dress myself up. I really tried to be a girl. I really tried really hard. I just think about like how awesome it will be to like look down at my chest and it'll be flat. That would be so awesome. Oh, that was a bad idea. And Joey's in the background. I am so disappointed. My appointment with my gender freaking therapist has gotten canceled. I just wish I can go back to before I realized I was trans, because it's a really sucky feeling.
I was watching it. Go came into the bathroom. It was just awkward. I was like, don't look at my penis. It's in the sink, you sicko.
I'm just gonna tell my family through like Facebook or something. I don't know if I can make it to like another year of this. I'm so dysphoric. Like I was masquerading around. Like I was performing for everybody to be something I wasn't. Now I feel so much more comfortable with who I am. And I don't second guess myself as much. I just want a normal penis. It was like the next step for me getting hormone replacement therapy, for me getting T. This was the next step. I just don't like my body, and it's making me just so dysphoric.
It says Zane on the box. Seriously, like a nightmare.
I don't think I like this feeling. Not that I like any of my dysphoria feelings. They all suck.
It's only like a month old and you're trying to look at it? You're nasty.
I'm done torturing myself right now. So, ending transmission.
Ending transmission.
Ending transmission.
Ending transmission.
Ending transmission.
Ending transmission.
Ending transmission. Ending transmission. Ending transmission. Ending transmission. Ending transmission. Ending transmission.